Welcome back to Energetically You. I'm your host, Megan Swan. I am a mindset and wellness coach. I love designing custom, approachable wellness lifestyles for the ambitious woman. My approach is sustainable, integrated wellness. Love helping women optimize their wellness through plant-based nutrition, movement, mindfulness, and mindset practices so that they feel more in alignment and confident in their own skin. My background, I'm a certified health coach, plant-based chef, detox expert, and yoga teacher with over 10 years of integrated wellness experience. I bring all of that to my sustainable integrated wellness approach. There is no one size fits all wellness. Every single client is different. Every single session is tailored to what they need at the moment in their journey. No two bodies are alike, and no two lifestyles are alike, and certainly no two wellness lifestyles are alike. That is why a sustainable and customized approach is at the forefront of my methodology. I strive to make wellness a way of life, not a check mark on your to-do list. Get ready to have magnetic energy and confidence to glow from the inside out. Let's get started. This podcast is for the woman who's looking to feel more radiant, more confident, more herself, more in alignment, more magnetic energy from the inside out. We interview incredible, inspiring individuals that pique our interest on all of those fronts. Multiple disciplinary approach. I love deep conversations and getting to the bottom of it. So let's dive in. Today, I have the honor of interviewing DEBORA WAYNE. She is a best-selling author, and she is going to tell us all about her very unique treatment. She is the founder and CEO of the International Chronic Pain Institute. She is a world-renowned energy healer whose leading-edge non-drug method, known as HighSpeed Healing, has virtually helped tens of thousands around the world to rapidly release chronic pain, depression, anxiety, trauma, battles with weight, binge eating, chronic fatigue, insomnia, and other chronic conditions. That's quite the list. And I'm very curious to ask her if virtually means virtually or virtually as in literally. She is a highly sought after speaker and a #1 best-selling author of the book, Why Do I Still Hurt? DEBORA has earned degrees and certifications in psychology, hypnotherapy, chemical dependency counseling, and has 35 plus years practicing and teaching meditation. She is a nationally recognized glass artist. I'm very curious actually to ask her about that. And a former professional modern dancer, certified yoga instructor, and leads the only practitioner training worldwide in her proprietary method known as HighSpeed Healing. So I'm so excited to get into all of the details and hear her story. I invite you to stick around. Before we dive in, I just wanted to mention that I have a really helpful, really powerful mini course. It is a freebie I've been offering for a few months now. You can find it on my website. I'll also post it in the show notes here. It is a 4-module little mini course that will give you new clarity and tips and tactical action steps you can take to get a better quality sleep and wake up well rested and fresh to start your day. I think it could honestly be life-changing for you. Sometimes the smallest gradual shifts in your lifestyle can have a huge impact in your health, your wellness, your mindset, and your state of mind. So welcome, DEBORA. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Megan, for having me. And hello, everyone. Very happy to be here and excited to share. So ask away. I'm an open book.
Perfect. Well, my first question out of curiosity is I imagine that you came to be obsessed about solving the pain problem with a personal story. And I also noticed you have a history of dance and ballet, and I was curious if that's all connected. It's all tied together or not.
It's all tied together. And, I never realized it until looking back in hindsight, how connected it was, because I was trained from a very young age of 4, to become a dancer. And I thought that was the only thing I would ever do in my whole life. And I had no idea that my dance training was actually teaching me all about energy. And every time I was on stage, I was learning about energy, or in rehearsals or in technique class. It was amazing. And I had no clue, but it made me very, very sensitive, both internally and externally, to energy and to listening with my whole body, which is the key to everything I do now. But then you're also correct. Later in life, after I had actually quit dancing, I crashed and burned. And my health, I woke up one morning, this is many years ago now, over 30 years ago now, but I woke up lying on the floor of my closet, and I was crying my eyes out. I was seriously depressed, super anxious, pain from head to toe. I was just out of willpower to fake it and get dressed and go to work one more day. And I was having suicidal thoughts. That's how bad I was. I was addicted to painkillers. I hadn't slept in years without just drinking wine till I passed out. I was a binge eater. So, Ben and Jerry ice cream, we had a long time affair. It was just really bad. And I had ulcers, and my hair was falling out, and joint pain and all these things. And I had gone to doctors, and they said, we don't know what to do for you. Nothing's showing up on a medical test. Or they'd say, oh, it's your thyroid. Take this. And I would take this, and nothing would change. And, it gets very depressing. And so I kept trying to, I guess I thought it would magically all just disappear, but instead it got worse. And I was highly functioning. So nobody ever even thought anything was wrong, because I looked good. I had a career, a husband, a house, all the stuff. But that day internally, I couldn't take it anymore. And on the floor of that closet, I looked up at the ceiling and I screamed out to a God that I did not believe in. And I said, if there's anybody out there, I need help. And Megan, I had a very interesting spiritual experience that I wasn't expecting. And I was the closet became filled with this truly a palpable sense of peace and unconditional love that I had never experienced. And I just knew I was going to be okay. Everything was going to be okay. I stopped crying. I felt completely calm. And I got up and I went in the other room and I picked up the phone and I called someone and asked for help. And I started just telling the truth about how I felt internally. And it was a real crossroads, and I went on a long healing journey where I had to unlearn and relearn a lot of things. And that was the turning point that really put me on a different path. I discovered I loved the whole world of alternative health. I loved natural healing methods. I became very clear when I went back to meditation. Oh my God, I had a series of these meditation experiences that without a person teaching me this, I became fully aware that everything is energy, and that there's information everywhere in the empty space, and that you can tap into that internally. You talked about technology. There's an inner technology that started working for me. And I became aware that this life force energy was flowing through my hands, and it was going to be used to first heal myself and then other people. And it's a long story, but that's really the crux of it, and where the foundation of all the work that I do today. I mean, yes, I went back to school, I stacked on a bunch of degrees and things, but the crux of my work is what I went through personally, the tools that I developed or practiced that really helped me personally heal. And then I refined them so that it didn't take somebody else 30 years to figure it out. And I really synthesized it down into the most specific method that I could then share with others to help them speed up their healing process. And that's what's enabled me to help people all over the world, tens of thousands of people now in 160 countries. It's been very exciting.
Wow, congratulations. Well, there's so much I want to unpack there. And I definitely have a bunch of follow-up questions about this internal technology.
Yes.
But I first wanted to jump back to one. I love what you said about, I never heard anyone describe dancing or being a dancer, about perceiving energy and being, which really
Yes.
I mean, I was not in many dance classes, I mean, years as a kid, but that's definitely a skill they were teaching you, right? And
Yes.
that's really interesting.
You're learning about space and feeling people behind you that you can't see because you don't want to run into them on stage. You're opening up your vision. You're expanding it in all directions. It's really creating a multi-dimensional experience that's very kinesthetic and doesn't involve talking, and many times not even visual. So you can't rely on those typical senses.
Yeah, love that. So the other thing that really stood out to me about of many that you said was sort of your bottom point and the depression that went along with it. And I imagine a lot of people that come to you, oftentimes that depression is because we've been taught to seek this external solution and label for what we're feeling. And we don't have this common, like the narrative is not, you can heal yourself.
Exactly. Not only that, the narrative is usually, oh, this is incurable. There's nothing we can do for you. You're going to have to learn to cope with this, manage this, or you're going to live on drugs the rest of your life. I mean, this is depressing. This whole way of looking at health and healing, which isn't anything about health and healing. It's about symptom treatment and slapping Band-Aids on the holes that are leaking out and freaking out everybody. And we've got a whole culture that, I call it the cut it out, drug it out culture. That's the only options. It's not true healing. It's disease management.
Yeah. I mean, I think my husband's a doctor and surgeon, and he doesn't love when I emphasize this point, but he does agree that doctors are experts in sickness, not in health. There's really little in their training that gives them a basis of understanding like preventative medicine.
Well, and let me make it clear, I'm not against doctors. I grew up in a family of doctors. They're all doctors. I love them. And I know they genuinely want to help people, and they do. If I have my arm blown off, I want your husband. I want a surgeon to put it back on. I could maybe heal it, but I'm not going to. So, but they hit a wall of limitation with some people, with a lot of people. Or the current methods tend to create a laundry list of side effects that can be worse than the thing the person came in for. And they're used to just equating symptom suppression with healing when that is not the case. And until you go much deeper to get to the roots of the tree, you have to water and nourish the roots of the tree, not the leaves on the tree. That's not healing. And the tree could die while you're watering the leaves.
They're extreme experts in a certain system in the body, and they're not looking at the whole.
Correct.
So it becomes, they definitely have a place, but sometimes,
Absolutely.
and there's many people that have this experience where there isn't an answer in the medical model, and it can be quite depleting. So when you were describing it, I was curious of how you compare it to Reiki.
Okay, great question. A lot of people do ask me that question. So Reiki is a technique, and I years ago learned Reiki and practiced it sort of kind of for a little while because I didn't know what I had birthed yet. And I was still in that really early stage of discovering what I had really understood. And I wanted something, a framework in some way. But Reiki is an actual technique where you touch the body, 26 points. It's done the same way on every single person. And what I do is not a technique in that regard. I actually access a state of consciousness where I'm I'm working in the field that surrounds the body and accessing a higher state of consciousness where there is no disease. There's no symptoms, there's no pain, there's no depression, there's no thyroid issues. It's a perfection state where there's harmony, and it's a particular vibrational frequency. And when our field and our body are vibrating at a particular frequency, there will be no symptoms, there will be no disease. But people can't necessarily think themselves into that state, or they would. Everybody wants to heal, but they try to think themselves into that state, and they're meeting the problem at the level of the problem. So what I do is act as a mediator for a period of time till they get used to a new pattern. I interrupt their current pattern. I give them a leg up to a different vibrational frequency. And many people have instantaneous results because of this. Because Einstein taught us this, that if you're exposed to a different frequency, you must change. It's like, if you think about a garage door opener, those remotes, it only opens your garage door. It's a particular frequency. It doesn't open everybody on the street. And so everybody needs different frequencies, and I can help access what they need, and they change. And it depends, it's different for each person, but this is not like a piece of technology made out of metal that I hold and work on them. It's literally something I learned to access, and I can also teach people to access. And it's something that is very easy for me at this point, like so easy. It's just naturally part of who I am now. Just like you learn to drive a car and you're not thinking about how to drive the car anymore. It's just autopilot. So that's been going on for me for many years.
Wow. Okay. So I understand that it's really bio-individual, like from person to person, but can you give us kind of an idea of what treatment looks like for someone suffering from depression, for example?
Yeah. And I should clarify, I used to, years ago when I first started, I had a regular office. People would come to the office. I would work one-on-one in person. For the past 6 years, I've only worked virtually all over the world. I don't really even need the equipment, but I usually use Zoom or something like that, or the phone. And the person is on the phone with me, or I also work with groups of unlimited size, and everybody gets individual results. And this is what's so brilliant about this that I discovered over time, is that what I'm doing is I'm able to I use my hands, and I scan the field that is surrounding the person or the group. Now, you have to understand, this is not something I made up. This is actually a field classified in physics that is relatively new in physics. And it's called different things. They call it an information field, or a torsion field, or a spin field, or a biofield. It's becoming more and more popular to call it a biofield because the National Institute of Health coined that phrase. And they've done some studies. There's actually quite a lot of research, and biofield science is a new leading edge area of science. So I'm able to scan that field, and I can feel in seconds where there are disturbances in the field. And so you want to think of the field as a recording device that's been literally recording every experience that you've ever had, and it imprints a vibrational pattern into the field, and even before it shows up in the body. So it could be there years before it even shows up as something physical in your body or your life. I'm able to find it, feel it, and then I bring in these very coherent waves. Another way of saying that is very harmonious vibrations that shift the vibrations that person or group is holding in their field. And those other vibrational patterns drop out. They can't hold their form when the vibration changes. It's like if you think about a mold, for example, that needs a hot, humid climate, and you put it in the freezer, it ceases to exist. Vibration, imprints, disturbances are the same. You change the environment, the vibrational environment, they cease to exist. And so Many times people feel immediate relief. Some people will have an emotional release. Other people have physical movement. The whole spine shifts. I've had people literally correct their spine straightens. They say, Deborah, it felt like you were touching me, like hands-on chiropractic. And I'm in another country. People with decades of chronic pain, I'm talking severe pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, and they end up completely pain-free, oftentimes in less than an hour. This is unheard of. I realize it can be tricky to wrap your mind around it because it's so foreign to us, but vibration is everything. And it's like think of music. You turn on the radio, you're listening to music, you can't stand it. It makes you just want to run for the hills. It's whatever those sounds are, you can't stand the sound. So you change the channel, and you hear music that just makes you feel immediate relaxation, and you love it, and you feel good. I'm helping people change the channel, change the station, and the music changes, and they feel, see, hear, experience a different reality. You with me?
I'm with you. I've actually been focusing a lot of this in the last year in terms of frequency and vibration. So I find it very interesting. So your biofield is individual. Every individual has their own.
They do. Every living thing has a field around it. And we live in a gigantic field that we're all interconnected to each other in. Every living thing, plants, animals, people, stars, we're all interconnected through one gigantic ocean, a field. And then there are different fields we resonate with. So that's why it's interesting. You'll see people who end up in the same town or the same company or with the same friends. They resonate with each other. Everything in the universe is vibrational, everything. And we either resonate or we don't. And if you've ever had that experience where you meet someone, you don't know them from Adam and you just don't like them. You just don't want to be around them. There's no explanation for this. It's a vibrational resonance. And then other people you meet and you go, my God, I love this person. And I don't even know why. It's vibrational. So we're constantly interacting and we're picking up and we're sending and we're feeling vibrational frequencies all the time.
Cool. So I'm curious, do you treat, in quotes, people that, I don't know, just want some sort of vibrational uplifting, or is it really people only with chronic pain or chronic illness?
Yeah. Great question. So I tend to work, my specialty is really helping the tough cases, people who have tried everything to heal, from chronic pain, depression, anxiety, trauma from either an accident, an injury, a surgery that went wrong, trauma from like abuse or childhood or violence of some kind. This stuff is really profound for pain and trauma and anxiety and depression, and very rapidly and safely releasing these things without re-triggering it and needing to spend 10 years talking about it. So, and people who haven't slept, I have a lot of people with insomnia, or migraine headaches is another big one, or other chronic diseases where they've tried a lot of things and nothing's worked. That's really my specialty. But it's a great question, because what's interesting, I discovered quite by accident, that when people have released a lot of their pain and symptoms, and they do this anyway, wow, this is when it gets quite magical. It seems to activate the right side of the brain, and it stimulates people's creativity, their productivity. They get ideas. I've had people come up with inventions and business ideas. Their money starts to flow. They start to have better relationships. I've had people write books, and oh my God, I've had people start to paint, and their artistic abilities overnight. I can't tell you how many people emailed me the next day and said, I had the strongest urge to paint. And they start, because it's activating parts of their brain that they never had turned on before. And it stimulates the right side of the brain and the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our relaxation response. And so our focus, our memory, our concentration, so many things, they improve, or they come back to life, or they come to life if people have never even accessed it before. So it's really quite exciting when somebody uses this for, more than just the pain and symptoms.
And can you teach anyone, or do they have to have a certain awareness or self-awareness or something before you can work with them?
Anyone can learn to do this, first of all. It does require a retraining of your awareness, which is part of the training that I offer. And it requires being willing to release your own stuff so that it doesn't get in the way when you try to help other people. You don't have to be perfect and never have a pain or, never get upset about things. But if, I help people release the majority of their traumas or issues and problems so that they can then really be present for other people and not afraid of what comes up, or not try to shut them down if they don't understand. They have to work through quite a bit of their own personal ideas and beliefs. But anyone can learn. I've taught an 8-year-old boy. I've taught 80-year-old MDs. I've taught nurses and yoga teachers and secretaries and accountants. And I mean, I've literally taught professionals, non-professionals. Sometimes the non-professionals actually catch on quicker because they have less ideas about what healing is supposed to be like. They don't have to unlearn as much as the MDs and the psychologists and other people who are highly trained. But anyone can learn, and it's quite life-changing for people. They go through really dramatic transformation when they embody this. And what's pretty awesome for me to see and to witness is before we're halfway through the training, everybody's working on people and getting results even before their mind has caught up with them and realizes they're able to do it. They still don't even fully believe they can do it, but they're doing it and they're getting results. And it's very, very rewarding to see this happen.
Wow, this is so fascinating.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to ask you to share what's the best way to work with you and get in touch. But I'm just curious for yourself, what do you do these days to protect your own energy, or do you do the treatment on yourself?
Great question. Well, first of all, I discovered there's nothing to protect from. That was the biggest shift I had all along the way. Is I discovered that this whole idea of protecting and shielding is actually causing more problems and more pain and symptoms. And that is a different vibration than the one I rest in and am aware of. And so I've really learned to cultivate knowing that I'm always safe. And it doesn't mean that, I can just, walk in, I'm going to open the door if I see someone standing out there with a gun, but it means that I understand and I listen to the guidance inside and I know where I need to be and I follow my own inner GPS. And I don't worry about taking on people's symptoms or getting drained by people. None of that really applies with this. But I do have a personal practice, and self-care is at the top of my daily routine. And that is critical to me staying in that vibration and staying in that mindset. So I happen to be a total yoga lover. I became a yoga teacher years ago, and I'm like a duck in water there. And it's not for everybody, but for me, it's got to have my yoga, my breath work, being in nature, being around beauty, being around the ocean is really huge for me as well. Being around water. But everyone's different. For some people it's art. For some people and meditation is key for me as well. I can just sit in meditation and access the state that I go into when I work on people. So I can just go there. And it really, really, I don't know. I just love being in that vibration, and I'm like anybody else. Don't get me wrong. I'm very human. I react. I have stress. I go through life. Stuff bothers me. Traffic, all the normal stuff. So I do these things to clear out the disturbances from my mind, my emotions, and my energy field as daily as possible so that I don't build up I call it the clouds, which eventually become a fog and you can't see out from it. So, I lived like that for far too long, and I don't want to go back to that state where it's just unbearable. So I do daily maintenance of my energy and my whole personality, and it works for me.
I like all those tips, and pretty much resonate with every single one of them. So thank you for sharing your self-care routine, and let our listeners know what's the best way to get in touch with you. Any particular thing you're offering right now?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'd love to offer everyone a copy of my book, which is entitled Why Do I Still Hurt? You can get a free digital download on my website at internationalcpi.com. And you'll be able to download this to any device. If you want to buy the copy where you underline in dog ear, go to Amazon, but otherwise free copy for you. Amazing. And it's like a workbook where it will help you go deeper into this conversation we've been talking about today and really start your healing journey. So I'd love to gift you that.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Deborah, for being here and sharing your guidance and your wisdom with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Megan, so much for having me and helping me get the word out that solutions are there.
Wonderful. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Energetically You. I hope that this episode has helped you to tune into your natural energy sources so that you feel more energized and focused throughout your day. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a second to rate and review. Each review helps us to help more ambitious women just like you accomplish their goals. Don't forget to take a screenshot, share it on social or in your Instagram stories, and tag me at Megan Swan Wellness. See you soon.